Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, lax rats alike, welcome back to another live edition of the Crease Dive. Today is Saturday, May 25th, and we've got a national championship in store for everybody. The stage is set. We had realistically a couple shit pumpings today going down at Lincoln Financial Field. So I'm Jordy from Barstool. With me, we've got Ness coming at you from a Ness. You're in an attic somewhere. I'm in the press box right now, and so we're all over the place right now. But Ness, how we feeling after those two beatdowns of semifinal matchups?
I'm feeling pretty good. I was on the wrong end of the first game. I thought that 4.5 would get me there. But I was on the right side of the second game, so that was a little boost of confidence for Ness. But yeah, I mean, I would have loved to see like a late fourth quarter 1-goal game, but we didn't get it, and that's okay because we got nice weather. Lacrosse is being played. The stadium looked absolutely packed. The aura I was getting from the Cabrini guys, from Jordy, the link is back. It never left. I just love seeing lacrosse be played there. Shout out the Cabrini boys. But yeah, I'm in an attic. I'm hanging. I'm loose. It's more than week. You got to stay loose. My backdrop's not as beautiful as Jordy's up in the press box. But I don't know. They weren't the best games in the world, but they weren't. I don't think they were like shitty or bad at all. I just don't. They weren't close. But I'm content with it. I think I'm
yeah, it's tough because like the games themselves, like the results maybe were interesting. The games themselves weren't interesting. Like at no point. So, I mean, after the first goal of each game, that was interesting, right? You know, Denver gets on the board first. You're thinking, all right, like maybe Denver's going to do that thing where they're just going to take the air out of the ball a little bit. They're going to be physical on defense, kind of force you into some bad decisions, keep this one close all the time. That went away rather quick. I mean, the moment that Shelley scored that first backhander to start off the second game, you're thinking, all right, like here we go. Like this is going to be a classic UVA versus Maryland matchup. 1 versus 1 down on that end of the field is going to be electrifying. And then after that, it just all went away for Virginia. I mean, Virginia looked like a legitimately bad lacrosse team. Like we're not talking that like they had like they looked bad. Like they all over the place. They looked really, really bad. So the result of that is interesting. And not to like take anything away from like, dude, Maryland is so sick. And we're all idiots for counting them out. Like, I think that this was like the biggest year for idiots talking about lacrosse, and like Maryland made the most of it. So yeah, nothing interesting. I missed a question that was up on the chat, so we'll have to bring that up.
We got them right here. It was what do we think the spread's going to be for the Natty? Listen, I'm just a guy speaking my mind. I think it's going to be 3.5. I mean, Notre Dame is a wagon. They've been giving them 4.5 every week. Maryland's been an underdog every game. I know. I'm almost positive they'll be an underdog. I can't speak in guarantees. But yeah, if I had to guess, it'd be 3.5. That's
yeah. My initial just what popped into my head. Again, make sure. Hey, we're all betting responsibly out there, right? So we'll get Dukes in here for the disclaimers, but I would think probably that 2.5, 3.5 range. I think, dude, like I mean, Notre Dame is just they are weapons all over the place. And like weapons that you fear. That are coming and you just can't do a goddamn thing about it. Maryland is that sneaky weapon that like Maryland will Pearl Harbor you right out of nowhere. Just they have like Maryland has 4 or 5 guys that are the exact same guy, and you can't tell which one of them just scored on you, but it was one of them. Like so not all the guys that you're like, hey, we can't let this guy beat us. We can't let that guy beat us. It's like, hey, like, no, they have clones and just one of them pops off. And so I think that it'll be a tight game. I think that both teams are playing great. I think that both teams, they win faceoffs. Big day out of Will Lynch for Notre Dame. I don't think that that's necessarily what we expected to happen, right? Like, I think going into that game, you're thinking Stathis, tough to pronounce that last name, Stathis. Thinking that he's gonna, kind of control the possession game for Denver with that one, but Will Lynch handled it pretty easily. Also, I love what Notre Dame does, where they have the D midi in the attack box on faceoffs. Just that way, if they do lose a faceoff, it's easy to sub off the Fogo. Mm-hmm. And you start thinking to yourself, like, okay, like that's a really good game plan. If you think you're going to lose all the faceoffs, then they keep winning all these faceoffs. Will Lynch keeps winning all of them. And you're like, all right, like, are they eventually going to stop putting the D midi in the attack box? Like, because they don't really need that early sub.
Yeah.
They keep him in the whole game. Nick Harris, 77. They just keep him in, and like, maybe Will Lynch isn't winning everything forward, maybe, winning backward. So it's still nice to be better safe than sorry, to have that D midi kind of hanging out there just in case the clear goes a little helter skelter. Dude, Will Lynch wins one forward, goes down, fast break, dishes it down to Nick Harris, and he splashes one. And you're like, all right, cool. Like, Notre Dame has a D mid who can just rip the shit out of the ball like that. Like, that's where this team's on a different level than everybody else.
Yeah. It's funny that, like, when we talk about it's almost like I forgot that Notre Dame had to take faceoffs until like late in the tournament, because they've been so dominant. I was never like concerned about, oh, well, how's Notre Dame's faceoff? Like, what's their percentage? How are they doing? How are they with the substitution game? But now you're going up against Maryland, who's almost like sneaky X Factor, not even sneaky, but X Factor is going to be the faceoff X. And it's like, in a world, I do think Notre Dame is going to do their thing and dominate and control the pace of play, and it's just going to be a long day for Maryland. But if Weirman gets hot and he pushes that ball down their throat, that's when I think it can get real dicey for Notre Dame fans. They haven't had a big scare yet. I mean, I think they've won every game. I think in the fourth quarter they've been up very handedly late in the fourth. So I'm just hoping for a close game Monday.
Yeah. Real quick, speaking of Weirman, I do love that he got the 2021 revenge goal there. So, everyone who remembers the way that the 2021 national championship ended with, Weirman winning it forward, taking a shot, getting kind of gobbled up there a little bit. And, obviously he got over that with the 2022. Yeah, hand up, Ness, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, breaking news from the state of Massachusetts. We have the one and only Kevin McDougal joining us live, baby. Here he is.
It's great. It's great. We're in the Cape. We are some gin and tonics deep. Love it. Yeah, Irish is in the air. But I need to say these comments. One, Connor Schellenberger, rest in peace to his college career. Going to be a hell of a stud in the pros. What happened? I will not know.
Tell you what, everybody, if you're gonna start to invite Dukes to a wedding on Memorial Day weekend, make sure that you're having it at a place that has good Wi-Fi, because this is it's unfortunate, because Dukes looks so handsome, looks like he's having a great time, but we just can't understand a word that he's saying.
ND by 5 on Monday.
Love it.
ND by 5. ND by 5. That's all I'm going to say. I'll get out of here. Boys, enjoy. I'll be at the national championship game. Boots on the ground. Notre Dame by 5. Fuck Donna.
You're a legend, Dukes. That's funny.
Guy looks great. Guy looks handsome as could be. But again, we're going back to it. Weirman with the 2021 revenge goal in this game. I don't think that it'll be like that goal and a lot of the other transition goals for Maryland. Like, I feel like they're going down the field and they feel really confident going up against Morris and Cage that they can let it fly, and there's a good chance it's going to find the back of the net. You probably are a little slower on the trigger finger when you're going up against Liam Entman. So maybe the face-off isn't quite as much of an X factor against Notre Dame as it is against Virginia, where they don't have a single goalie who can stop a shot. I mean, tough spot for Morris to be in, right? And it's not like he didn't get a lick of help the entire afternoon, right? Like, I mean, talk about just a defense caught ball watching all afternoon. Virginia's defense, bunch of really tall guys, bunch of mutants, probably can't beat them one-on-one. You start throwing any cutters at them and they are lost. So defense looked bad. Goalies weren't making a save, weren't winning faceoffs. And then, the Virginia offense just, listen, it's been years. It's been a lot of years since we've seen a Virginia offense just stall out this much. So listen, I hate calling for guys' jobs, but like if I'm Kevin Cassis right now and I'm on that bus ride back to Charlottesville, like I'm kind of calling in a bunch of favors to a lot of guys, kind of seeing, hey, let's float my name out there, because I don't know how long it's going to last in Charlottesville. Like, wow. and a really bad day today for that offense, but they've had a few days like that so far this. I mean, UVA doesn't lose 4 games in a row. They do this year. Like, you don't have a game where for the longest you had your Shelley goal at the very beginning. You had a McCabe-Millen exclamation point, like, great goal. What else? You had one. You got one off of a substitution where you got a break in the sub game, come down 6-on-5. Like, they had those 3 goals forever, and one of them is because Connor Schellenberger's a freak. Another one's because McCabe-Millen's a freak. The other one is you got a good sub game. Nothing happened for the first 3 quarters for Virginia because they have a good offense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%. And I think the biggest glaring stat to me, I'm going to touch on the goalies in a second, but when your leading goal scorer is a freshman, which is fine, he's a phenom. We love McCabe-Millen. I think he's one of the most talented players in the entire NCAA. But when he's your leading goal scorer with 2 goals and you have 4 other guys who score, like, it just, like you said, I don't want to harp on Virginia or come at Cassis. Cassis is on my shit list, but not for Virginia. It's a Lehigh issue. However, it just wasn't good. It didn't look good, and a guy who's the head coach of a team that puts Colin Kirst on the bench for 4 years, I might question his actions as a coach. Again, did that affect today? No, it's a personal vendetta. It's fine. We just air these things out. But I don't know. I think it's tough when all your superstars kind of, and the cog you have as Virginia kind of just go quiet. Like you've been saying, it didn't look good. It didn't feel good. You had that feeling watching the game. Like, they're not – it wasn't you were watching like, oh, they're a goal away from going on a run. It was like, is it ever going to come?
Dude, they had one possession, maybe a combined 2 possessions in a row where they took 8 of the exact same shot over and over and over again, coming from X, wrapping around that right alley, not really turning the corner, kind of bailing out right at GLE, just launching a wraparound that goes out on the opposite side. Dude, 8 times in a row, at least 7 without exaggerating. It felt like 8, and they just kept doing, and they kept going to that, wasn't working. Kept throwing just nonsensical skips, and we saw how that worked for Syracuse against Denver, where dude, you don't get this defense moving at all, and you just start throwing bullshit skips because you're getting bored in your offense. 1, it's bad offense. 2, it's bad coaching, and 3, it's just not a good recipe for success. So yeah, like you said, there was never a point in this game after the first Schellenberger goal where it felt like Virginia had what it took to kind of get themselves going in this one. And maybe it got to 6-3, and maybe you were thinking, okay, if Virginia can get one more, maybe we have something. But then you come out to start the second half and it's just bang, bang, Maryland, good fight, good night.
Yeah, when Shelley scored that first goal, I felt it. I was like, whoa, that's passion. That's your guy stepping up. Here comes Virginia, like you said earlier. And it's just that was the highlight of the day for Virginia. it sucks when your highest moment comes like
A
5-10
minute
minutes
into the game. No,
My
yeah,
God.
it was first or second possession. Yeah, and like, dude, and again, like I don't know. This is probably it's so hard because I want to give Maryland the credit that they deserve. My brain immediately goes to how bad Virginia looks. But Maryland just all over the field. We're like the offense snapping the ball around. They don't have to beat guys one-on-one. Like they get the cutters. All that action at GLA just had Virginia's like I don't even think that the Virginia defense, their head was spinning because heads weren't on a swivel anyway. Like they were just ball watching. So they weren't spinning. The heads were just so stationary that you could get those layup dunks right on the crease. Their sideline was just, dude, after they had the pole goal to go up. I think it was like 6-2, maybe. Like they went on a run there, and pole goal in the second quarter. I swear to God, their bench mob Selly got all the way out to like if there were hash marks out here, like I'm looking at the field right now because I'm in the press box, no big deal. If there were hash marks here, like if the football field lines were out there, they were inside the hashes.
That's I think Dukes brought that up last week, that the benches have just been these celebrations. Like I think Dukes, like they could get a crease violation out there, which I respect. Maybe there's been a change of a rule at some point that I'm not aware of, but I didn't think you could go onto the field like at all. I mean that was never like a thing when I was in high school, college, even watching lacrosse right out of college. Like, it didn't seem like teams were like going out onto the field. Now it almost seems like the rule. If I had to guess, again, I'm not speaking fact. I know nothing. I think maybe it's like the restraining box is that like line you can't cross. Maybe they loosened up. But if that's
I'll tell you what, they were well beyond it.
Yeah, then
well beyond.
Something's going to happen where they're going to have to change that, where a goal is going to get scored and people are going to celebrate and a scuffle is going to start one day. And that's when the NCAA is going to come hammering down and be like, this is what we have to do. We gotta change this rule. We got Moose Lax 55 asking about Eric Spanos. I'm not a name guy, but Eric and the Maryland Terrapins, they're good. He's great. They worry me. I thought Denver was going to be the biggest threat to Notre Dame. Kind of let me down a little bit late. Early, I was like, here comes Denver. It's going to be a gritty battle. But now that I've watched Maryland just sort of step by step, underdog after underdog after underdog, just kind of like basically walk to the natty, I think Eric and his boys are excited to play Monday, and they're going to bring it. So if you're Notre Dame, I know Duke says Notre Dame by 5, but if I'm Notre Dame, I'm not. I think Maryland is now the biggest threat to Notre Dame's perfect. I know it's not perfect, but I'd call it a perfect 2 years if they're able to bring.
So real quick on Spanos and kind of touching on Denver as well. Listen, you get a guy like Eric Spanos. Where's he from? Philadelphia. Where does John Tillman do a lot of really great recruiting in? Philadelphia. Who doesn't have a single kid from Philadelphia on their roster? The Denver Pioneers. I mean, Notre Dame, they don't get, well, the Buzz and Kill kid, Boozenkill is a Philly kid. They've got a couple polls from the Philly area that I don't think get in as much, but they still have Philly in that locker room and on that sideline. So all I'm saying is that both games today, the team that had more recruits from Philly, including Eric Spanos from Maryland, end up getting the win. So listen, if you want to win, if you're a college coach and you're listening to this right now, and I'm finding out more and more college coaches actually do listen than I think, and that I would prefer that they wouldn't listen to it, but they do. If you want to win, you got to recruit Philly. You got to get Philly kids into your program. It was the kiss of death for Denver. They never stood a chance when they got out there on that field today. Not a single kid. You got kids from Nevada on your roster. You can't get one kid from Philly. Get real. Get lost. Thanks for coming out. You guys never had a chance today. And yeah, I mean, Virginia, like, your offense is sputtering. Your defense can't get a stop. Your goalie can't make a save. Like, you need someone to step up in that moment. People from Philly, kids from Philly are born to step up. So again, that's just my pitch. You want to win a national championship, you recruit Philadelphia.
Jordy's Philly through thick and thin. Listen, I was never a huge Philly guy until I went to Cabrini, and I had to be one. Now I'm a Philly believer. They're a bunch of sickos. They're gritty. I'm with Jordy. You need it, even if for some reason he doesn't even step on the field. You need a Philly guy on your roster. And speaking of recruiting kids, I have two special guests, college lacrosse players. We got Pat Cosgrove, Gettysburg lacrosse player right here, and Timmy Adams, Richmond lacrosse player.
Gentlemen,
legends.
How we doing? What's up, fellas? How we feeling? We'd like to say
Boys,
Notre Dame.
Boys, what do we think about the games? Come on, fire it off.
So we have to ride with Notre Dame. Chris Conlon, Chatham guy, one of our boys.
Cougars forever.
Yeah. We're going with ND.
Yeah.
Give us Conlon or give us death.
100%. I mean, ND, pulled away late in the second half for sure, but it was kind of closer than I thought it'd be. I thought they were just going to come out, just rearing from the go, but it was a good game all around. I'd say second game, same thing.
This guy right here, Timmy Adams, Richmond lacrosse player, 5 years, 1-0 in his last 1 games against Virginia. He hates the Cavaliers. Let him dance on their grave. If someone's excited about them losing, it's this guy right here in all the Richmond. I'll tell you that for damn sure. They're the fake Cavaliers.
Now, what is this Virginia? What does this Virginia loss do for the legacy of Cabrini?
It's huge. They're the fake Cavaliers. If we're not a team in the NCAAs, Virginia has 0 national championships.
That's
so
correct.
It right now, as far as I'm concerned, it's 0-0. I like Virginia this year. I even told him, hey, Tim, I'm sorry. I'm riding for Virginia a little bit, but I still think they're the fake Cavaliers. I'm pretty sure they trademarked the swords on their helmets with the fucking V. And so Cabrini couldn't use it. I could be making that up, and if I am,
is that why you guys had to shut down the institution? Did you guys get sued by Virginia for using the crossing swords?
Well, I bought it, so I was like, all right, no more Cabrini. So
there's a prick named Don Taylor, and he's a president at a different university now. And when I find him and get my hands on him, he's fucked. I'm coming for your ass, DT. You fucked over all of us. Cabrini's gonna rise from the dead, and the Crease Dive is gonna be your biggest fucking nightmare. DT, you're gonna see me.
All right, so Don Taylor and Kevin Cassis, 2 fired guys.
They're
hopping out. They're hopping out.
Have a good one.
DT or Kevin Cassis. Oh,
Couple fired guys. Real quick, just want to. So we got a question here. I don't know how to throw these onto the chat, no. I was going to go with how many goals will Ajax hold Pat to on Monday. I think that 6 on. I mean, like. This was a game today where, because I'm not a defensive minded guy, right? Like I don't watch the games and look at how I'm always looking for the goal scorer. That's just the way that my brain is wired. This was a game today where it really stood out to me, even as like the most offensive minded guy, that Ajax was without a doubt the best player on that field today. There were so many times where, Shelley has a step, maybe going to his left. And everyone on that Maryland defense, like no one even hedged no one even thought about going, because they knew that Ajax would be able to just kind of listen, if you give up a shot where he's sweeping to his left, whatever, like that's fine. He's not going to come back to his right against them. So I think that 6 on 6, it's going to be a battle for Pat. I think that Pat still gets a couple in the transition game, maybe off a couple of ride backs. At the very least, he'll still pick up a few assists, just because it doesn't matter how much you lock him up. He's always going to find his brother cutting through the crease. But I like Pat to have like a 1-3 stat line on Monday, and I think that's a stat line that Maryland could probably live with.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I'll say about Ajax, he is a pro's pro. I tweeted it. Listening to him talk at halftime, you're 22, 23 years old. You're in the middle of the semifinals to go to the national championship, and they come up and interview you at halftime. And it's like he had everything written down. You're saying the right things. He had that mantra, we're all working together. We're doing this. He gives Virginia their flowers. He gives the old Maryland guys credit. Listen, we just went back to our Maryland ways. And then I love, he's like, we communicate. That's what we do. Like, that's just that got me so fired up to watch him play at the next level, and made me realize, there's a reason he went 3rd overall in the draft. He's not just a super talented player. He just gets he gets the whole deal of lacrosse from start to finish. And that's like what makes him different than everyone else. He's obviously uber talented, unbelievable. But I've never met him, so I can't speak from experience. But see, that was the first time I really saw him like on the spot interview. I feel like we don't see a lot of player interviews in between during games. Sometimes you get the coach. I don't love in-game interviews with anyone, but I like to see how people handle it, and like watch him handle it was pretty cool. So I mean, I think he's going to do his thing. He's got a tough matchup. Those like Jordy said, those Notre Dame guys are going to find a way to get done, and Kavanaugh's in trouble. He's just going to find his brother. So
yeah,
it's exciting.
So real quick, like I just want to touch a little bit. So we talked a ton about Terps, Virginia. Just want to do a quick few things on Notre Dame, Denver, just so that we talk about it. We're going to keep it quick though, because I do have to get back to Delco at some point. They might kick me out of this press box at some point. But like that, the way that Notre Dame just like they force you, the ride just means so much to that team, and they make you look so goddamn bad at lacrosse when that's happening. And like even the Virginia 10-man caused Maryland to have a few bad turnovers in the clear game today. And I think that Notre Dame's just regular ride is more deadly than Virginia's 10-man. So I think that that's just like, we're talking about what Maryland's doing great right now. It's like all those little things. It's communicating on defense. It's, finding those cutters on offense, just moving the ball, making the one more pass, doing all these little things, that you're getting up ground balls. They're doing all these little things like that. Like you have to be able to clear the ball against Notre Dame if you want to be able to come out of there with a dub. Like that's just the biggest thing. Like the entire game comes down to, can you clear against them? And if you can't, then Notre Dame wins.
Yeah. It's just heart. They just ride with so much heart, and it's fun to watch. It's dangerous if you're Maryland. But Notre Dame just came to play in the second half, I think. The first half was a little close. Like watching them in the second half, I got that same feeling I did watching Maryland, where it's like every time Notre Dame scored and maybe they'd get an answer on the other end, it just never felt like Denver was going to close that gap officially. There was one point where I was like, oh, it's a 3-goal game. Like it could happen. And the next thing you knew is it was a 6-goal game. And that's just what the best teams in the country do. They roll. Notre Dame is so powerful. I mean, no one's, at least in my world, has been higher on Notre Dame than like Dukes has been on Notre Dame since they lost to Georgetown. Like he's just been in that ass, which I respect. So yeah, I know Dukes is fired up about that one. I do think Notre Dame has a wagon. Got a lot of people asking. AF Health was asking about what makes you think that Ajax can handle Cav.
So I think that this is where being able to clear against Notre Dame, like this is where that matchup is make or break, because like if you can hold Pat on a possession, like you can get Notre Dame to take a shot clock vial, like that's like that'll happen. Like you'll be able to kind of lock down Pat. You get down in 6-on-6. Like I think Ajax will be able to contain them there. But then if you go to clear the ball and you give it right back to them, and like now you have another possession against them and another possession against them, like that's where Pat Cav's gonna start to take over that matchup a little bit. And I think I think like Notre Dame's just getting more possessions against a team like Duke, where maybe they're not, like I think Maryland takes care of the ball better than Duke does. I don't think that Maryland's going to go down early in possessions and throw some ill-advised skip passes that end up being turnovers, and now all of a sudden Pat Cav has the ball on a stick one more time than he would have if he would have just kind of held on to the ball a little bit. So I think Maryland, if they take care of the ball, kind of go a little deeper in their shot clock on their possessions, they clear the ball, like you just take the ball out of his stick enough times, that's where Ajax can win that matchup. But if you keep giving them chances, they're going to get it done, because that's just what they do. And one last thing on Pat Cav for me, at least, and for the entire Notre Dame team, but the fact that the Kavanaughs were able to get the so they have the New York Rangers goal song as their goal song when Notre Dame scores, and it drives me up a fucking wall that that's playing at Lincoln Financial Field. So I'm praying for a real low scoring game on Monday because I don't know how many more times I can hear that song.
All right, unbiased, Philly pride aside.
It's a great song. It's a great goal song.
All right, awesome.
So good. It's so good. It's an awesome goal song. The fact that it's just because it's the Rangers goal song. It's
so fair. Yeah. I just want to make sure, because I'm a Dallas Stars guy, but I support the Rangers. My dad's a Rangers fan. I get I'll be watching the Stars and the Stars will score, and I'll start humming the Rangers goal song. Just because I do think it's great. I just want to make sure we're on the same page. Yeah, it fits well. It's perfect. So that's yeah.
I like it, and I hate that Notre Dame is making me kind of like it.
So Jordy's basically rooting. Jordy wants a 2-1 game on Monday. The defensive coordinators on both sides would love that. It's gonna be fun. I can't believe Maryland's playing for a national championship right now, Jordy. I knew, and the part that sucks is if I had any bit of balls, I would have just made this take 3 weeks ago. I think Maryland's gonna run through the tournament, but I teetered around it and I tiptoed and I was too scared to make a bold take, but I was thinking it. I don't want the credit. I'm not even looking for credit now. I'm just I'm projecting my anger. I felt it. Yeah, I felt it in my
that's my thing too, is right now, the fact that I should be so nervous to doubt Maryland again on Monday. I've been burned and burned and burned again by doubting this Maryland team, and still there's something in me that I'm just not gonna pick Maryland to win this game. I'm just not. I wish that I wish I could bring myself to do it, because they're awesome. They're awesome. And the fact that they don't have a guy on offense that you have to rely on to get it done is, I think, a really scary thing. In a good way for Maryland, a really scary thing that you have to worry about, because again, you start shutting down Shelley, you start shutting down McKay Mill, and all of a sudden Griffin Schutz is the one who has the ball on a stick for the most, and you feel fine with that. If you're Maryland, you're let that guy have the ball as much as he wants, because he's going to run himself into trouble. He's going to turn it over. We're good with that. And with Maryland, when you're playing against Maryland and you just don't know which one of these guys is going to end up, giving it to you, you never have a moment where you can kind of sit back and breathe and be okay, we've got those couple guys locked up. The rest of these guys aren't going to hurt us.
Yeah, I think it gets, as much as I love having a guy that is the focal point of your offense, I do think it's like you said, it's sneaky, dangerous when you don't have one, because it's if one guy's not going, you're well, we didn't just solve the equation. Now, what if these other 3 guys get going? If there was a main guy on Maryland, a above and beyond superstar on the offense, and Notre Dame could shut them down, I don't think Maryland would have a chance. But that's just not the case. Notre Dame could shut down 3 out of the top 7, 8 offensive guys for Maryland, and it might not have a huge effect on the game. So it's going to be gritty. I did, just from the desk of the Cabrini boys in Philly, want to get this up on the screen. Bunch of legends with Coach Tommy DeLuca outside of beautiful Lincoln Financial Field today. Just a bunch of legends tatted up with the national championship tattoos, 5-year anniversary tomorrow. Just love those boys. I'm going to start crying so soon about Cabrini. It's going to suck. Next year, it's going to be it's going to be such a far memory. So while I'm still here, I have to just soak it all in while I can, all the Cabrini content. So shout out all the boys out there. Love those guys. But we are here. This is – and then breaking news from the chat, our friendly guys at DraftKings just put the lines out for the game. We are official. Maryland +3. And the over-under. Jordy, do you want to guess the over-under before we get going, or do you already know?
If I had to guess, all right, so you're thinking Notre Dame's 13. So I'm going to go 21.5.
Jordy, You are
Right on.
unbelievable. 21 and a half on the dot.
Wow.
See, that's good stuff for there. Yeah, so responsibly place your wagers on DraftKings. But they have the lines for you. And that game is 1 o'clock on Monday. I can't wait. Let me tell
Are
you.
you going to be making it, Ness? Yes, no, maybe?
I'm still up in the air. I am not sure, but I am excited to go to PLO training camp on Wednesday. For any PLO sickos that are tuned in, I will be up in Albany with Dukes. I know some other legends are going to be up there, but I'm going to try to get there. This is a trust tree. I don't have the best car right now, and if I had a better car, I'd be going there in the morning, eyes half open, drinking a couple waters, getting ready to get loose. I don't know if my car's making it to Philly and back to New Jersey. I'll be lucky if I make it to Albany on Wednesday, if I'm being honest. However, I do want to be there. I want to see Jordy. I want to see Dukes. I want to see the games. I haven't been to the Link in my entire life, ever, outside of when we won the national championship and I was on the field. I've never stood I just lied through my teeth. I stood in the bleachers the day before the national championship. But that doesn't count. I've never been there not for the when Cabrini was there. So I'd love to go there and soak it in. Appreciate it. Got the watch on. Shout all the Natty boys. You'll be my first text Monday morning if I'm coming to drive and say, hey, Jordy, where are you going to be? Probably the Jetro lot because you're a slimy Philly guy. Like that's where Delco legends go is the Jetro lot. So we'll see. Former Eastern University player, 2016. Sorry for our neighbors to leave. I think this guy's being serious and nice. If you're trolling, I just had to put it out there. We rolled Eastern like a joint. We rolled you up, we smoked you, we threw you on the ground. Biodegradable. It's growing plants. Eastern was talking a lot of shit this year. They never talked shit when I was there because they were legitimately nothing. But Alan Wagner. I appreciate you. You've been in here. Oh, he's not. All right, fair. Oh, this guy's a legend. He gets. See, I just need people to be honest. He gets it. He said, "You always beat us." It's just an honest cat right there.
All right. Before we get too far into more Cabrini talk, I got to get back to Delco. So we're gonna wrap this up. We're probably gonna fire up another episode, little championship preview. So that way we can get Dukes involved here. So be on the lookout for another episode coming out soon. The D2, D3 national championship games tomorrow. I believe that they'll be streaming on the NCAA website. So fire those up if you guys want. Again, going to go with rolling with friend of the program, Jerry Raganese, RIT Tigers. And you know what? Cabrini Cat and Net for Lenore Ryan. Got to ride with former Cavs. So those are my picks for tomorrow. Be on the lookout for an episode coming up either Monday morning, maybe tomorrow night. Ness, any more closing thoughts on these semifinal games? RIP Virginia, RIP Denver. We've got the Irish and Terps going down on Memorial Day.
Not much. Just I'm a little surprised. Is all I can say. I didn't. That I think that's the easiest way to put it. Just a little surprised about today. But I'm excited. Excited to watch a little bit tomorrow, and then Monday will be here before we know it. And everyone out there, be safe. It's Memorial Day weekend. Drink your waters, call your Ubers, and just take it easy, baby. Jordy, you drive home safe. You're a legend.
And keep it low to high till the day we die. We out.